Quick Step Alpha final have Mark Cavendish and Davide Ballerini. Now, de Klerk coming to the front here, is this to work hard and pull along, or is he going to play a bit of a game and maybe just occupy the space?
Well, I guess we'll have to wait to find out what's going to happen there. But, I mean, 55 seconds, 25 kilometers to go. I think if you allow them to get to 30 seconds, if Tim de Klerk wants the group behind to come back with his sprinters, then allow them to get 30 seconds and maybe a little bit less, and then invest a little bit of energy into it as well to just force the rest of the teams to work that bit harder again to I don't know if that's a game that is possible to play at this point, but right now it just looks like he doesn't want to do any work at all, want the sprinters to come back.
Yeah, it looked like he was just disrupting, didn't it?
Yeah.
An interesting look we look there at Sandro Mörisa at the back. 71 for Cofidis is Benjamin Thomas. Interesting man, but he's all alone. Tesfazion, keep your eye on him. Really, really fast rider. Riding for the team at home, remember. Now then, Caden Groves must be feeling all right. Bike Exchange are starting to work as well, and this is continuing to come down. 49 seconds now. Cofidis have a man there, and we'd already seen that Jumbo-Visma were in the chase here. So Cofidis, a reminder, have Consonni as their main sprinter. They also have Davide Cimolai to help out as well. And we take a look at the River Po.
Not enough riders working on the front of this group.
Tomashev had such a good season. Again, they were up there the other day, racing in Dash. Tesfazion in this group, but he's not really moved. He's just been sitting there being pulled along. Of course, there's nobody to help him. Again, Mohoric. We've not seen full committal from Bahrain either.
Making it to the finish line, but they're not going to do it in the composition of riders that ultimately almost sole-handedly down to Intermarché Wanty-Gobert doing the work.
Almost 4 hours of racing, not far off 45 kilometers per hour. It was controlled for much of the day, actually. It's only when we came to air, looking at the climb up to Superga in Piemonet, in man. But of course, they still have Cavendish, they still have Ballerini in the next group. The main group at just 41 seconds now. And you see all the cars behind this group, so it's not going to be too long before there's some sort of contact made. In fact, you can just see now. Look at that.
Is that even 40 seconds? I know the camera foreshortens things quite a bit, but now that they got them in their sights as well on these, like I said, it's quite long, wide open roads that you can see a minute and a half up the road.
And keep your eyes on it because the distance continues to go down as well. 600 meters it flashed at there. If you're watching on television, you've got one more. Well, Daryl Impey had nothing left to give. He sits alongside Corbin Strong now. A couple of other teams coming up. Right, wearing number one there is Matteo Fabro, climber.
Occasion Easy Post getting to the front as well as Movistar and Bora Hansgrohe as well in the mix. Now that they're starting to ride, instead of why did they wait for that long? If they were happy with the situation, then carry, get working straight away whilst the gap is fairly big, and sort of deter this bunch from continuing the chase. Because if you're working for 10, 15, 20 kilometers and you're only bringing back, I said 15, 20 seconds, then all of a sudden you're gonna start sort of losing the will to put all that effort in. Now that they can see them, it's a different ballgame.
Struggling to hold on at the back, Andrea Pietrobon, and there's a reason for that. He was in the breakaway for most of the day. Finally letting go, and he was the only representative there for Yolo Cometa. Marco Tizza still remaining in this group from the original breakaway. Now this is the scene behind. Ineos Grenadiers bike exchange, and you can just see that Quick-Step Alpha Vinyl are ready and waiting. Megan Marco is there with Ballerini, Benz Vhoff. EF Education Easy Post have sent Nielsen Paulus to work at the front, and behind we just saw a couple of riders starting to tire from the other teams. It's a tug of war, this, and an interesting one. In fact, it's getting more interesting by the pedal stroke.
Very, very interesting indeed. They've been having to work so hard for such a long period of time that sooner or later they will run out of manpower in this group. And I guess that's why, I was wondering why they've waited so long to commit to riding in the front group. The different teams that we've all of a sudden seen now get to the front and start putting in some effort. If they'd done this earlier, I think you would have sort of burnt the resources in the peloton and had a bigger time gap to play with in the final 15 kilometers. Bye.
Oh, no. And up in the front here, I think it is in the front group.
Yeah.
Who's down there? It's the number 97, who's Sean Quinn. And here she just in front of him. So Sean Quinn, the American for EF Education Easy Post. And I think that was Hirschi, was it? 224. In fact, it was Mark Hirschi from Switzerland. So bad news for UAE Emirates there.
Yeah, I mean, he was their fast man really for the finish if this group does stay clear.
They weren't one of the teams committed there. And we're seeing another man committed now for EF Education Easy Post. Just trying keeping this gap alive and keeping it open for, we presume, Bettiol, because I haven't seen Magnus Corton there.
I haven't seen him either, to be honest.
For those of you football fans, this is where Juventus do their training, just outside of this little town. Start to believe that little bit more in their Slovenian fast man, the winner of Milano-San Remo, of course talking about Matej Mohoric. Taramane, he's been non-stop, hasn't he? And fair play to Jorgensen. In the breakaway, he's giving what he has left now.
Find the outstanding fast man in this setup, and I just cannot see how this is going to work out if it does stay away.
Well, that's the intriguing thing for us. Again, we've got quite a few classics riders in here, haven't we? The likes of Garcia Cortina, who on his day has beaten some of the best sprinters in the world. Then you look at Mohoric, who we know has got a fast finish. Same can be said of Bettiol, albeit not tested too much against the faster men in the peloton. But then again, you've just said it doesn't need to be one of the fastest men in the peloton. I think Corbin Strong has to be one of the big favourites here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's definitely a man in form, and probably on paper here the fastest rider in this group.
Second on Monday, wasn't he, in Coppa Bernocchi?
Yeah, he might very well be. And also, I'm starting to think, I know Cofidis have only got one rider in here, but Benjamin Thomas in this type of finish from this type of a group, if he can get it the final kilometer right in terms of positioning and not get boxed in, all that sort of stuff, then I guess he's one of the top cards to play here. Mohoric, yes, definitely. Bettiol as well. Gianni Mosconi's in here. Not slow either when it comes down to it.
And a reminder that Natnael Tasfatsion sits towards the back on his own. He is a fast finisher from Eritrea. Eight kilometres to go, and it's going north, almost reaching a minute again. Has to be a big movement, doesn't there, in the next couple of kilometres for things to change for the group behind Magnus?
Yeah, it's something has to happen. They almost have to sit up here on the front, which I don't think is going to happen now. Everyone seems committed to that this is the way it's going to be. We're right now to the finish, and sooner or later they'll start working for positioning as well within this group, and that's going to drive it on even further.
Maris Mikkels, remember, young Estonian rider for Intermarché, looking to try and do something in this group. Mikkels, who's just one victory in his career so far, 19 years of age, and that victory came at home in Estonia, so this would be the breakthrough moment. Look out for Bajoli, sits at the back of that line of three in the blue and white there. Italian rider who likes a climb, but likes a fast finish after a climb. 23 from further north in Sondrio, from the proper mountains. Remember, he's won in Catalonia, hasn't he, on a difficult stage. And this is that sort of, you'd say if there was a sprint here, it's a sort of Catalonia-style sprint, isn't it? You've got the likes of Garcia Cortino, who's made it over, Bettiol there, Bajoli, not the top tier, thicker leg fast men. And, well, maybe Bajoli a man to watch for here. Through the litter zone.
A sprint like this, I think, comes down a lot to positioning and reading the group and the bunch and the movements of it. Because when you have a big bunch sprint running towards the line with a different lead-up trains and so on, that's one way of racing. When you're coming in like this and you've got twos and threes from various different teams, that there isn't a sort of a proper running towards the finish, then reading that is going to be so much more difficult. So a lot of that racecraft is coming into play, and which is one of the reasons that I keep on coming back to the Cofidis rider, Benjamin Thomas, that track skill, the way of reading a bunch, I think is something that could be very, very important.
In this group, it's almost done. A minute now. It is done, you'd say, because at the front we've got teams starting to gather around the riders they're going to have to go with here.
And well done to Intermarché Wanty Gobert, who's committed to this from the moment they got down onto the flat. They realised that this is an opportunity for them and has driven this, and been the big force within this group to that the fact that they are in the position where they are now with 5.4 kilometers to go, and they got a minute to that bunch.
And they've really divided their effort brilliantly, because Tarame's done a fantastic job. Barkalants is the man who's going to stay and try and help young Mikkels try and win. 19 years of age, remember. Barkalants himself, an experienced rider, a former winner of this race, 2015. Yeah. Has nothing to do with the finish this year, as we explained right at the start of the broadcast, that this is a race with a changing identity. We've got a fantastic list of different riders. We're going 5 kilometers from the finish now. Sometimes it's GC riders, sometimes it's classics riders. We've had pure sprinters winning as well. It's not going to be the latter today. It's going to be those in the middle, that unknown quantity. How they're going to approach this. There aren't going to be big lead-out trains. There might be a couple of smaller ones, and I think you can expect maybe the climbers of Bahrain to try and help their main man, Mate Moharit. And just as I say that, they've given up behind. That is that. The victory, Magnus Bexter, is coming from the front group today.
It definitely is. It definitely is. They managed to break these guys.
So once the message gets through here, how does that change things at the front? Do people start to think about trying to help their leaders a bit more now?
Well, it gives you the time to sit up and start playing the tactical game a bit more, making sure that you're getting the run into the line in the perfect way. But look,
here goes Seti. Here goes Seti. Look at this, Peter Seti, who's never won a race in his life. This could be the chance if they all look around. And what a story that would be.
And who's left in here now with firepower, left to right, because it's been a hard old run in towards this finish, but EF are definitely straight on it.
Clever tactic, at least, though, from Quickstep Alva Vinyl and Peter Seti there.
Very.
Why not have a go? The minute he's chased down by the rider from EF Education Easy Post, I think now that Intermarché will take it up again, but he's making a nuisance of himself. Again, no big lead-out trains here, and they've still got the Clerc to sit back and help with Bajoli. This was a move, and it was telegraphed from a long way back.
It was, wasn't it? But he managed to build enough speed to get a little gap before there was a reaction, and they still just haven't quite caught him.
And he's still here. 3 kilometers to go for Peter Seti. And take a look at that. Stupinigi.
One rider that we haven't mentioned in this group as well is Alessandro Covi.
Well, he's been sitting there. Certainly after what happened to Mark Hirschi, he could become more of a danger now. And we know that despite the fact he won that big mountain stage in the Giro, he's there and he has a sprint. Said he looks behind. He's still got that little bit of a gap. It isn't going to last, though, I don't think.
No.
And here he is. He's taken back. But here comes his teammate, de Klerk now, who has Bajoli on his wheel. There is Corvi just in front. A couple of riders there for Bora Hansgrohe. And now Bakelants moving 19-year-old Madis Mikkels of Estonia to the front. Here's Pernsteiner, 2.3 kilometers to go. Look out for Großschartner on the right-hand side, the Austrian national champion. Not known, of course, as a sprinter, but he's got a decent finish on. It's a really, really interesting mix of riders, this. All coming together to try and chase a sprint finish. Impey moves to the front again. Strong sits behind and on the wheel of the rider from Jumbo-Visma. Now, the Jumbo-Visma rider who's in there is Thomas Gloag. Bettiol being moved up on the left-hand side. 1.7 kilometers to go now. Three of the Bahrain riders out the way, not able to do anything now for Mohoric, who will look after himself, the Milano-Sanremo winner. He sits in about 6th position in the red jersey there.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you're keeping yourself close enough to the front here now. Ideally in that line that is created before that little bit of a bunging up behind. That's the safest place to be sitting. And just keep an eye, make sure you don't get boxed in at any point, as the speed isn't super high, so it's easier to move up.
Just over a kilometre to go, roundabout out the way, and we're heading for quite an unpredictable but surely fast finish here in Gran Piemonte. The old Tour of Piedmont has come down to a fight between second-tier sprinters and classics riders. Garcia Cortina's in there. Bettiol, the winner of the Ronde van Vlaanderen from a few years ago. Corbin Strong, the Kiwi fast man from Israel Premier Tech. Young Madis Mikkels for Intermarché. 1 kilometre to go now as we come in and see Matej Mohoric in a red jersey sitting there ready. He's bumped down into about 12th position now. 800 metres to go. It is Tim de Klerk who takes it up, but looking behind for Andrea Bajoli, he doesn't find him. A couple of riders in there for Total Energy. It's Alexis Vuillermoz who's going to try and have a go. It's a real strange old mix this as we're approaching the final 500 metres now. Paulus is trying to keep it as fast as possible. You can see behind too that the national champion of Austria is there, Großschartner, coming to one final right turn here. When's it going to be led out with a whole host of riders who aren't used to this sort of thing? Interesting to see how it goes now. Coming up to 400 metres to go. Make it 300 as de Klerk is on the front. De Klerk there trying to tring it out. De Klerk, and there on the left-hand side we've got a couple more riders launching. Bettiol now in the pink. Mohoric just behind him. Mohoric on his wheel in the red. On the right as we look at it now, there's Garcia Cortina. He's advancing of quite a rate of knots. Garcia Cortina is there. Movistar might take this one. And Ivan Garcia Cortina on the least expected day takes it for Movistar. It was supposed to be about the big sprinters. The talk was of Coy, of Cavendish and all the rest. But it's Movistar who turn up and win a one-day race that's finished in a sprint. Ivan Garcia Cortina, take a bow. Brilliant, Magnus.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, as we expected, quite a messy final straight there with riders getting boxed in, moving up, running out of legs. It's been a hard race today. It's been full on ever since kilometre zero, and the final 50 kilometres, it's taken its toll on a lot of riders.
What an end to the season Movistar are having. Talk of relegation absolutely banished now. Behind this is the next group that's going to come in and sprint out for very minor places, because we had a rather large group of around 30 to 40 riders coming up there. They'll have a go nonetheless. You can see on the right hand side that's Grossu of Dronopper on the left. Also a couple of other riders making their move. Not too far from the front was Consonni. He's there in the red and white moving up now. There's Magnus Kort as well. On the right-hand side, though, it looks as though Movistar might have an opportunity to win from here. They'll sit in the wheels. A second or third place there for the rider from Movistar, who I assume was Max Kanter. And this is how it finishes behind. But a shock in Bain Ascot, and Ivan Garcia Cortina wins Gran Piemonte.
Fuck me, good job, dude. Holy shit.
And they're happy. Even they struggle to believe it.
Even they struggle to believe it, exactly. But yeah, that final running towards the line just proved really difficult. I think Magnus Mikkels was in a good position all of the time, but just in the final part just got himself boxed in somewhat, and that is what's so difficult when it's not sort of at the usual speeds that you're having the running towards the line with. But looking down the bottom of your picture there just now, it's Ivan Garcia Cortina, who's just sat there almost out of position here. But as we turn that final run, like final right-hand corner here, he finds himself just coming through on the left-hand side, gets boxed up a little bit against Leknesund, I think it is, and then has that run here now. The sprint is already opening up with Tim de Klerk, and Cortina goes, do I go left, do I go right, finds himself with a wheel that's going to the left, and then just perfect timing. And he's clearly the fastest man there.
A strange old approach in the end, wasn't it? Even Vuillermo was up there.
I think Vuillermo's got third in the end there.
That's certainly a shock to me to see him coming around the corner and sprinting in that company we talked about as well. Tim de Klerk had been looking around, hadn't he, for Badjoli in the end. He was trying to sprint himself. Badjoli was nowhere to be seen towards the end there.
No, it wasn't. It looked like Tim de Klerk was looking around before the corner. Where is he? And then just decided, I'm going to have to go for this one. But Badjoli was too far back at that point and just never got himself going.
Looked like he'd sat on the wheel of Corbin Strong. There was Mohoric. So it is Mohoric in second. And you're right, third place there for Alexis Vuillermo. And Ivan Garcia Cortina doing the business. Tell you what, Movistar, they're not just avoiding relegation, they'll be into Europe at this stage.
Yeah.
Tina is the winner of Gran Piemonte. First Spanish winner for quite a while. And 11 years after Dani Moreno took victory in quite a different type of race, is Garcia Cortina who does it here. Let's hear from him. Here's the winner.
And you get your first win of the year, even your first win for Movistar. How do you feel?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's my first victory after 2 years in this team. So I feel so happy. No, it was not a really good moment sometimes, but I keep fighting and finally I can get a victory, and it's really nice. Now we have no more problems with the points, but still it's always nice.
This morning, did you expect to win?
Actually, yes. After the last race, I was feeling super good. I was in the best position, but in the spring, I have the legs. So today, with the climb, 30 k's to go, I knew it can be a tricky part. So it can break the group. That's happened, and then just pull full gas. Mateo did a really good job, and in the sprint, I can do it.
The sprint, how did you play it tactically?
Actually, not tactic, no. I was quite back in the corner, but I knew the group was not so big, and then I can pass the people and take the victory. So, not tactics, but it's not possible better.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
No tactics or legs, Magnus.
Yeah, what can you say? I mean, he had good legs and he played the tactical game the right way. So sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time and make the right decisions, you know. And when you unleash that, then usually, I mean, it's a shame it comes so late in the season, but I have no doubt we're going to be seeing more of him based on the fact that, you know, he's been going well here now.
Well, he's set to stay with Movistar next year. And again, he was saying he expected to win. shows a lot about his self-belief and the team's belief in him. But let's be honest, to all of us watching, apart from good placings, he hasn't really got near winning a bike race for quite a while, has he?
No, it hasn't. And with that, you start questioning yourself, and you question everything that's going on around you that you do, and the training and everything else. But it's just a question. You've got to find that moment where everything falls in place and just be patient.